We've been hearing lots about Marvel Legacy in recent weeks. The once great powerhouse is returning to their classic lineup in a Rebirth-style reboot, something we all prayed would happen. Now, there are several obvious reasons that factor into this decision, not least the growing backlash against the current lineup and the endless identity politics they've engendered. So what if I told you Marvel have been deliberately sabotaging their books, characters, and reputation? You'd probably call me a crazy son of a bitch, and though you may well be right, Marvel's apparent backtracking mirrors the curious case of Coke in the 1980s. Not that kind of Coke. Tinfoil hats at the ready.
The theory goes like this. Back in the 80s, Coke were facing falling sales amid competition from other makers of teeth-rotting shit. To combat this, they introduced New Coke, a revamped version of the classic formula that it was hoped would reignite interest in their brand. To this day, they claim what they did was a genuine effort, but there are cynics who believe the move was part of a devious marketing scheme. That is to say, change your product so drastically you deliberately trigger consumers, thereby drawing attention back to the original product. You then reintroduce said product, sending profits through the roof, which is exactly what Coke achieved, almost immediately.
So has Marvel been pulling a new Coke? The major difference here is timelines. Marvel's political crusade has been running for years now, whereas Coke quickly learned their lesson, reintroducing the classic formula within 3 short months. Marvel have stubbornly persisted, and if anything, they've doubled down on the nonsense, even berating fans publicly when they've let their displeasure be known. Another consideration is that Legacy isn't a complete return to the classic formula. Marvel isn't axing the controversial characters. But interestingly, Coke didn't phase out New Coke altogether until 2002. So this might take some time yet.
It's not that all the current books are bad. I really enjoy a few, but the agenda pushing is now so great, it's hard to distinguish Marvel from BuzzFeed. Afraid of pissing off a certain contingent of people, let's call them SJWs, they currently publish some 90+ books a month with very little substance or quality. So why the odd tactics? Let's rewind to 2011. Axel Alonso is appointed editor-in-chief at Marvel Comics. A dark day. Every change of editor sees a change in approach, but never in history has there been one so extreme. With his #1 henchman Tom Brevoort, Alonso radically altered Marvel's output. Much of this boils down to the talent they're hiring. Forget track records and, God forbid, actual talent. It seems anyone with a Tumblr blog and the right political talking points qualifies as a Marvel writer. More upsetting is that the art is largely terrible too. Google Sketch, anyone? But after the Image Revolt of the early 90s, it's no surprise Marvel aren't putting power behind pencilers anymore.
Given that Marvel's classic lineup have been examined so extensively, we can forgive them for exploring new frontiers. Alonso's objective was apparently to attract a diverse new readership by writing characters who mirrored their skin tones and sexual preferences. Younglings who, it turns out, don't actually buy comic books. And like the endless stream of new #1s, the warning signs have been there for a while now. So what may have started out as an honest attempt to be more inclusive gave way to books that are simply about identity, and not a secret identity, meaningless, boring, surface level identity. A dust cloud that spiraled into a Category 1 SJW bullshit storm. Frankly, the whole situation reeks of lazy writing. Marvel have a good track record with diversity. The early white, straight male characters gave ground to interesting new black, Asian, female, gay, Jewish, left-handed, even vertically challenged characters, and more. But that's exactly what they were. New characters. In short, there's no need to shit over your core audience by co-opting the classic lineup.
We can't ignore DC and their successes with Rebirth here. Say what you will about DC's love for reinvention over the years, but they've mostly stayed true to their core lineup, and even Marvel successfully rebranded with the Ultimate Universe line. But that wasn't at the expense of their core fanbase. So the question becomes, will Legacy provide a more satisfying relaunch, minus the goddamn politics? Clearly, Marvel need to re-engage their true audience, i.e. 30-something-year-old dudes who actually buy comics. Ironically, the crowd least interested in the agenda pushing, even if Marvel aren't willing to admit it to themselves.
The other hulking elephant in the room is the movies. The MCU is hugely popular with profits that far outstrip comic revenues. With all that sweet Disney money, there's no real onus for Marvel Comics to change at all. But let's not forget, the movies rely heavily on what's coming from the comics. So will future films rely on hideous characters like America Chavez and Riri Williams? Our guess is that these characters will eventually be phased out altogether, consigned to the scrap heap in a similar fashion to New Coke.
So have Marvel intentionally been drawing negative attention, only to switch back to what was previously popular to reap the rewards, just like New Coke? If yes, they've been playing a very long, very risky game of 4D chess. And to believe this assumes there has been at least some agency behind all the boneheaded decisions that are being made, but there are at least one or two similarities, if only on the surface level. Thanks for watching, folks. Be sure to add your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Bye DC, and here's some other content for your consideration.